Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to this episode of DIY Dad. So this week we're going to be doing a scroll saw project. So stay tuned and we'll get it done. Okay, so honestly, this is my first time ever using a scroll saw. I did initially use it to cut out like a little triangle that I freehanded and a circle that I freehanded and then a straight line. I watched a couple videos on YouTube to see some techniques that people use when they use the scroll saw. So I think I'm just going to dive right into it. I got a kind of complicated pattern. I'm going to do my son's name. It's in a cursive pattern. So I printed out the pattern and I'll show you guys where to go from there. So what I did, guys, is I just took a scrap piece of MDF board just because I don't want to use a nice piece of wood for my first time using a scroll saw. So I just took a scrap piece of that and I cut it to the size that I need. And so after you cut it to the size that you need, you want to put some what do they call it? Painter's tape on there. You want to put some painter's tape on there. This is going to make it easier to remove the design when you're done. So you put your painter's tape on there, and then you're going to spray some spray adhesive onto this, and then onto the back of your stencil or your, whatever your design. And after you spray that on there, you're going to put your design on here, and then you'll be ready to cut after that. So here's my prepared wood block. And here's my design. I find it easiest to spray everything in a box like this. So there's the spray adhesive. We just let that dry a little bit. Almost there. Put it on. There we go. Now it'll be good to carve designs on there, and then when we're all done, it'll be easy to peel everything off because of the painter's tape on there. So that's how you prep your design. Okay, one thing I do want to show you guys here is I did upgrade the stock blade on this Ryobi scroll saw to these Olsen skip tooth scroll saw pinless blades. They're a lot smaller and allow you to do much more tighter detail work. So I've put one of these on, and this is what I'm going to use. So I would recommend getting some pinless blades. So just to go over our process here, the first thing that we're going to need to do is drill little small holes into all of the inside detail pieces. You have to do that first, because if you carve the outside first and then try to do the inside detail pieces, you're more likely to break the piece. So you don't want to do that. So that's going to be our first step, is to drill holes in all the inside pieces. Then our next step will be to actually scroll saw all the detail pieces on the inside parts out first, and then we'll scroll saw the outside of the design out. And then after that we can be done and should be able to pop it out. So that's our plan of action here. So let's get started. Alright, so coming back to this, let me give you guys a tip about drilling your holes in the project to clear out the middle pieces. So you don't want tear out on the bottom when you drill your holes. You want this to be nice and clean. So it's best if you take a spare piece of scrap wood and stick it underneath your project before you drill the holes. This way, it's not going to give you any tear out on the back. As you can see, there's the hole right there. It's nice and smooth on the back. So that's what you want whenever you're drilling out holes to cut your middle pieces. You want to make sure that you have a backing support for that. So here's where we are in the project so far. We still have to do 2 more of the T's and then cut the outside. One issue that I've had right now is with the clamp holding screw. They basically had a really bad design on this. Let me show you guys. So here's the screw part. It actually had that wing nut on it, but you see in here there's a hex head there that this tool is actually supposed to fit into, but it's some kind of like plastic metal hybrid. So it stripped out after about 5 times of tightening it, because I'm using these pinless blades and you have to get them really tight so they don't slip out. And that's the one flaw I've seen with this scroll saw so far, is that the clamping mechanism just is not strong. So I'm having to use a pair of vice grips to get this tight enough to take it on and off to be able to finish my project. So that's the only issue that I've run into right now. So it's a minor one. It is, you know, kind of frustrating, but we'll get it sorted out and we'll continue on. So let's cut the T's out. Alright, let me show you guys how to insert the blade into your project. At least this is how I'm doing it. Maybe there's an easier way. I'm pretty new to the whole scroll saw. But what I've been doing is just taking the head of the pinless blade, sticking it through the hole like that, putting it on the work surface. Then I just move the bellows up like that. Get it all in place. Now I need to get the blade into the blade holder. So what I've been doing is pull it up and place it in there. Just like that. Again, I'm missing the wing nut part of the screw here. I'm going to have to use my vice grips to tighten it until I can get a replacement. Right, let's give it just a bit more. Boom. Okay, now our next step, since our blade is all the way loosened, we need to turn our tensioning knob to tighten the blade. And you want it to make a high-pitched sound. That's the sound you're looking for. Alright, so now let's adjust the piece that holds the project down here and tighten that down. Okay, now we can get to cutting the inside. So when you're cutting the inside, you just kind of want to plan your path here. I think I'm going to take it this way, and then we'll go back the other way. So let's get to cutting. You don't want to use it on the highest speed. Start out at about 60%. See what that gets you. And when you're cutting, you're really using one hand to hold the piece down and another hand to turn it to guide the blade against the line. It does take a little bit of practice, but with a little practice you'll get it. Now to get a tight end on that T, I'm just going to back it out, come back to where I started from, and do this other side here. Alright, so we got that little piece. And always be careful, don't stick your fingers in there. Safety first, guys. Alright, so at this point when you're making turns, you want to push against the back of the blade basically so it doesn't cut into anything and make your turn. And then we can finish up on this tee. And I'm just going to back it out, start fresh. Alright, there we go. We got that piece cut out. So now you want to turn off your saw. You need to loosen your blade. And then after you loosen your blade, we're going to loosen up our clamp here. And that's how we remove the project. Let's get the blade out of there, move that out the way, and boom, there we go. See, we just cut the inside of that tee right there. So now we'll just do the other one, and then we can get to cutting the outside. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this one, and I'll come back and kind of do a fast forward of cutting the outside. Now I did make a rookie mistake there and didn't get that part cut out. I know that it might break if I try to drill it and do it now, but we'll try it anyways because we're almost there. Alright, so I managed to get this part cut out without breaking it. And there we go. This is pretty good for, I think, my first scroll saw project. I was thinking I was gonna not get this one complete all the way. I did use, MDF wood for this one, so it's not as sturdy as it would if I'd used like a hardwood, but you know, I didn't want to waste a good piece of wood. I wanted to be able to practice. So this is what I got, and from here you can peel off the stencil and whatever. But yeah, not bad for my first time using a scroll saw. I'm looking forward to doing more projects now, and this is pretty cool. It opens up a whole new world of possibilities. So if you're thinking about getting a scroll saw, go ahead and get one. There's some other videos on YouTube that give you instructions on, how to use it. I managed to get through this whole project without breaking a blade at all. This is my first time doing it, so I'm pretty impressed with myself that I didn't break a blade. But yeah, some scroll saw action here. So get you some. Alright guys, I'm back real quick. I just peeled off the tape and the design, and that's what it looks like. So yeah, not bad for my first time using a scroll saw, I would say. I mean, it's definitely room for improvement, but not bad at all. This is my finished piece. Again, this is just made out of MDF. I kind of wish I had made it out of real wood now, because I didn't think it was going to turn out this nicely. Honestly, I thought I was going to make a lot more mistakes somewhere along the line. But it looks a little rough because it hasn't been sanded or anything like that. You know, but we did just get done painting it. And I think it came out pretty nice for my first ever scroll saw project. I'm really looking forward to digging in and doing some other stuff on some, you know, better quality wood. But yeah, I think it came out nice. What do you guys think? Alright, so there we are. We got our project done. A couple things that I do want to point out about this project. Number one bummer on the Ryobi scroll saw was the blade clamp screw. I think I'm just going to go and get another screw that's, you know, heavier duty that will not strip out to fit in there. I did try to go through the warranty process, and they actually want me to take the whole thing back because the screw is currently discontinued. So Ryobi, if you're watching this, recontinue your blade clamp screws for the scroll saw, or at least come up with a better design so it doesn't strip out when you're using the hex wrench on it. Another thing that I learned is, like I said, don't use the stock blade. You want to get a pinless blade because you can do the smaller detail work on it. Make sure you watch other videos on YouTube that kind of go more in depth on exactly certain maneuvers that you're supposed to do when you're using the scroll saw, just to, you know, get more precise cuts and those kind of things. That's really helpful. And the last thing is just going to be practice. I think the more that you practice with it, the cleaner your cuts are going to be, and the more proficient you're going to become with it. So I think this project turned out great. I wasn't actually expecting it to look anywhere near this good. I can't wait to do this on a nice piece of wood. So I'm going to do that soon, and I think it's going to probably turn out great just based on how this turned out. So yeah, thank you guys for sticking with me, and I'll see you guys next week. All right, take care.